So no, in February, I just observed that when we buy kilowatt, we are being charged 58 naira. That was in February. So I was wondering, although I had it in mind to call, because I always like calling to ask what is really happening. So at that time, I never had time all the while. So when they now brought February B for those that are not meter, I saw 35,000. I said, wow, this is becoming interesting. This is becoming interesting. So I'm still planning that I'm going to call. Then for March B, we were still buying that same kilowatt at 58 naira. Then those that are unestimated, they now brought 42,000 naira. The first lady I called, she said we're on band B. I said, what? From D? Is it possible? So I was talking to her later. She was not like her. She doesn't hear me anymore. So I called back again. Then one Mr. Danny now picked it. So I now said, after calling my numbers, I asked, I said, please, what band are we? He said we are on band B. I said, wow. I said, it means you people are wicked. I said, it means you people are wicked, and this is also daylight robbery. How can you put a community that hardly gets 10 hours light? You put them on band B.
It's irritating also that I've had there. How do you explain a staffer of Ikeja Electric going into somebody's building and you say you want to do a maintenance without anybody getting informed? What maintenance? Your DT, your transformer, that should be of paramount to you. You do not feel concerned to come and do maintenance. Of course, there should be a proper routine checkup or proper routine maintenance on your transformers. I've not heard of a news where you will see that any distribution company staff will notify a community that we are coming to do a routine checkup or maintenance on the transformer. They will now bring about the news of barging into people's compound. Is that not daylight robbery? Into the prepaid meter.
The moment they leave, the prepaid meter start working abnormally.
And of course, I had all sorts. You cannot just barge into somebody's compound on the 13th while you serve them bill on the 11th and say you want to disconnect. It's a no-no. Don't go into physical confrontation with them. You arrest the person.
Thank you.
And I'm calling on the superior authority, the CP Alabi of Lagos State, that this should be passed to all divisional police offices. That for anyone, any staff of Ikeja Electric, because you are in Lagos State or a code disco whatsoever, that are arrested for such illicit and illegal acts, of course, they are liable on confession. It is a written law. It is not it's not a law that a community just came up with. Of course, we have a regulatory body. A regulatory commission is none but NEC. How can the Minister of Power says there's nothing like estimated billing? How can all the 11 distributor companies sit in agreement? They all signed CAPI methodology. We'll be releasing this to our interviewer to show to Nigerians all the signatures of the electric distributor companies when they sign an agreement that CAPI methodology should come into being to build, to calculate and justify the consumption of consumers that are not on prepaid meter yet. Yes. It is a sound of warning. Let the Tokumbo and the Bimpe and the Shuaib get this clearly, and the Kasim, that they cannot just come as will, and the Noima Somabolale, they cannot just come at will into this community and intimidate consumers with police. It is a no. The community say I have agreed not to go in a violent way with you, but they, as much as they will not be violent with you, they are rejecting this in its totality. Go back to all this money that you are using to buy saloon cars, that you are doing to do whatever things you choose to do. Nigerians will not even have that money. I am calling on the authority of the DG, respected Babatunde Erukera of FCCPC, Federal Competitive and Consumer Protection Commission. I am calling on the authority of MD CEO Ikeja Electric for like a sweater. I want you to look into this misdemeanor of your staffers at Abule Taylor. I want you to spell it out to them what it means to move consumers from a particular band to another band. You are about upgrading them. You are not upgrading the services.
Ikeja Electric reports. In his weekly column in the Sunday Telegraph Newspaper, celebrated Nigerian lawyer Mike Ozekhome, SANOFR, noted with pain that indeed Nigeria is Africa's biggest oil producer, but the West African nation still struggles to meet its energy needs. A struggle that has persisted for many decades, with ordinary citizens becoming the guinea pig of frustration by paying heavily for darkness. From the trajectory of ECN to NEPA, down to PHCN, Power Holding Company of Nigeria, down to the energy sector reform of year 2005, that led to the unbundling of PHCN into Discos run by private investors. It appears most Nigerian citizens fell from the proverbial frying pan to fire with incessant inept service delivery, rude and very unethical officials, poor electric service delivery with killing in many cases highly capricious billing strategy that does not justify transparent consumption of electricity by consumers. Even in instances where the federal government ordered Discos to give free prepaid meters to citizens, some of the Discos appear to not only bill consumers to get the prepaid meters, but equally denied some communities the opportunity of metering in their sly efforts to promote the now outdated and illegal estimated billing methodology, which give enough room for bribery, corruption and bill piling, which has become an economic cancer to the pockets of many families. One of the leading Nigerian Discos infamous for alleged profound fraudulent tactics, default of transparency, ethical fairness, justice and a sense of customer relationship is the Ikeja Electric Disco. Majority of customers and power consumers that cut across Ikeja Electric's sphere of business, influence in Lagos, Nigeria, have stories of war and social tribulations to share with concerned Nigerians home and abroad. To this effect are various online petitions on several platforms and in most instances, instituted cases of fraud and unethical misconduct in various courts of law against Ikeja Electric and the shady executives. Folakasho, the chief executive officer of Ikeja Electric, appears to be a woman with a go-go spirit, attending parties, flirting with the gym, and making merry, while our unscrupulous officials go about stone terrorizing communities to extract fraudulent bills, harass, embarrass, and rubbish the esteem of the company's customers. Some of Folake's threatens officials act beyond and against laws guiding the electric sector reform Act of year 2005 and other related laws. Some of these officials who have become Jurassic dinosaurs to communities they loot and boot around will do everything in the book to inflate bills, cut off power supply at the slightest provocation without recourse to law and order, and even in most cases disobey court orders like one Tokunbo David of Abule Taylor undertaken in Lagos. Some of them beg for tips and will never listen to consumers' plea, even in instances where the law protects such a consumer. Several communities have tales of woe as both the old, the young, and the middle-aged have a bad song to sing about Ikeja Electric. From Alakuko to Alagbado to Ojokoro down to Abulegba and up to Okota area of Lagos West Senatorial District, the story is same. Wicked officials, bad services, nonchalant behaviors to communities' demands, high-handedness, and total disregard to rules of engagement. Asabe Africa TV visits some communities, and their petition this time around is high-handedness of marketers, illegal power disconnection, and outrageous billing for power not used, allow paying a fortune for darkness. The stories of woe, apathy, and total frustration is second to none. This video is done without prejudice, but to find for a lasting solution of the highlighted challenges. Watch out.
with total honor, we are so embarrassed when we came to the community today. We learned what is going on. We're speaking with a lot of people challenged by the activities of Ikeja Electric and their officials, their outrageous billing, the eccentric manners of their staff and officials, and the high unethical behavior in terms of ignorance of the law, taking down your lights and all that, especially people that are prepared. Sir, what's your experience, sir, with total honor, sir?
All right, good afternoon, sir. My name is Comrade Ikeja Samuel. Okay, I'm also a resident in this community. The issue is just that Ikeja Electric is not being fair, and I think they feel that the community is underdeveloped, so they feel they can impose policies on the community. Now, let's start. I will take it one after the other.
Okay, sir.
Now, for those that doesn't have prepaid meter, those that are not metered yet, that are on estimated billings. Now, I could remember some 8 years back. Now, that 8 years back, what they do is, when they want to read, there is what they call general reading. That is from transformer. That is why you see that at this same community, a particular transformer might the amount might be different from what they will give to this particular people using this same transformer. So now, then, when they want to read the transformer, then there's always representative from the community, either one or two, to testify to it. Now, after they've read it, then those that their meters are readable, they deduct it, then the rest they share it equally among those that are not metered. That was then. Then at that time, I wasn't even having prepaid meter. Then we were being given 1,000 naira, sometimes 2,000 naira. No, the highest there was even 1,200, sometimes 2,000. Then at that time there was transparency. But now they say they read. There was a day before I got my own prepaid meter. The lady in charge of our own side, that is a Noimot Omobolanle. I asked her one day, I said, how do you people arrive at all these billings? She said, so we will go to the transformer to read. They are now said, if you go to the transformer to read, then who among the community members were there to supervise you? Then she said, we read it. So that is that about the estimated billings. Now, let's come back to the recent crisis that we are having in the community now. I think it was in 2020 when they started this issue of band A, band B, band A, B, C, D. I think there's E also. Now, first thing that came to my mind, I say, with this, Ikeja Electric is going to be more fraudulent. And as if I knew what I was saying. Now, at that time, when they started that band, we were, those of us in this community, both Lerato, Abulemo, Akishilo, Ogutolu and all. At that time, we were all on band C. Now we are at band C then. Now band C means that we'll be having a minimum of 12 hours power supply and maximum of 16 hours. Now, immediately they started that stuff. Truly they were faithful at the first month. I have to be very frank, they were faithful at the first month. Now, when it was entering the second month, they started defaulting. Then at a time, sometimes I will call their customer care unit. You know, they will always defend themselves. Then sometimes I go to some of the CDA's executive in my own community. I talk to them. Then, you know, some of those Baba, they don't really know what is happening. They are not really informed. They don't know what is really happening. So they might not really know what to do. So at that time, I was disturbing. Then we were at C. Then we were buying kilowatt at 41 naira at that time. I could remember vividly. Then why those that were unestimated they were giving them, I think, 21,000, 22, 23,000 at that time. So later, after enough calling, I don't know whether it is my call, but at the time, after like close to a year, they later brought it to D. Then at that time, they were not giving people 15,000, which is not still justifiable. Because if you say you go to the transformer and read a particular meter, sorry, a particular transformer, and the community members are not even there to supervise, then you just come and tell us there's no transparency. You just come, you can even say the entire community has used 2 million kilowatt. Then after deducting those using prepaid meter, those that are meter are readable, then the rest you just slash it equally, which is very, very unfair. Now this recent issue during February, I just observed, because I'm using prepaid meter. When we were on D, and like I told you, those that are not metered, that are unestimated, they were giving, I think they were giving some 15,000, they were giving some 12,000. So while we were buying kilowatts at the time, we were buying kilowatt at 23 naira. When there was a general increment that was across Nigeria, I think there was an increment of 3 naira. So we were buying kilowatt at 26 naira. So no, in February, I just observed that when we buy kilowatt, we are being charged 58 naira. That was in February. So I was wondering, although I had it in mind to call, because I always like calling to ask what is really happening. So at that time, I never had time all the while. So when they now brought February B for those that are not meter, I saw 35,000. I said, wow, this is becoming interesting. So I'm still planning that I'm going to call. Then for March B, we were still buying that same kilowatt at 58 naira. Then those that are unestimated, they now brought 42,000 naira. Wow, although I'm not affected, but I felt their pain. Fine, we were buying ours at 58 naira, which has also increased. But why would they give them 42,000, which is so crazy? So that day I said, okay, I put it upon myself. I called their customer care. So after calling their customer care, I gave them my meter number. Then I just said, okay, I want to know the outstanding on my bills. So after getting the outstanding, and I said, sorry, I observed something, that there is a kind of increment. Please, can you help us to check it? What band are we? The first lady I called, she said we're on band B. I said, what? From D? Is it possible? So I was talking to her later. She was not like her. She doesn't hear me anymore. So I called back again. Then one Mr. Danny now picked it. So I now said, after calling my numbers, I asked, I said, please, what band are we? He said we are on band B. I said, wow. I said, it means you people are wicked. I said, it means you people are wicked, and this is also daylight robbery. How can you put a community that hardly gets 10 hours light, you put them on band B? And I said, do you know what they call band B? Band B means we have minimum of 16 hours, then maximum of 20 hours power supply. I said, Anna, you are putting us on band B. It means, I said, you people are wicked, and this is daylight robbery. How can you put us on B? He said it was based on request. I said, Oga, that community, I've lived in that community for many years. There is nobody in that community that will request for such. That no community member will request for such. You mean that Mr. Daniel said it was based on? Daniel said, he said it was based on request. I said, no. There is nobody on that community that will request for such. That is not possible. So he now said, okay, that I should write. I said, Oga, there's no way I can write. The same method you people use in taking us from D, that was too much. I wish you people even put us in C. Okay, it will still be manageable, but you just took us all the way from band D, you took us to B. I told him, I said, can you try that with Magodo Estate? because you feel that most of the people that reside there, they are money, they are exposed.
They are politicians, they are political,
and they are also politicians. I say, so you don't do that. You don't assume that, okay, because the community is not developed, then it means everybody, we are all daft. We can never be daft. That is outrageous. How can you put us in B?
And the light is not even commensurating with B.
Say we hardly get 10 hours with the plan that we have, with the plan that with the way we get light in this community. We are supposed to be in D. They are supposed to remain in that D. Then buy kilowatt per 26 naira. Then he was not telling me, I know that there is a national collapse in national gas. This thing you are talking about, we started experiencing it in February. The grid that collapsed it started from last month. So you are not talking to somebody that is not exposed. You are talking to somebody that follows what is happening. Then I say, I should write later. I was not like, I didn't hear you. So I cut the call.
Same strategy of the first girl.
Of course, now they were not like, I'm not hearing you. So I cut the call. But I have it recorded. So there's no way they can deny that they didn't tell me we're in band B. So that is where the issue is. So the community is facing just two issues now that I've told you. One, we are supposed to be in band D, and we are placed on B, which is that is daylight robbery, that is criminal, and that is wickedness of the highest order. That is high level of wickedness. Then two, the so-called transformer they said they are reading, at least they should involve the communities. The CDA, they should involve the CDA's executives whenever they want to go and read, so that we will know that, okay, truly indeed this community has consumed that particular kilowatt that they have assumed that we consume. They must show us that this is what they are reading, and this is what the transformer is showing, that you people use in this month. Transparency, which they are lacking. So those are the two things that they must do. One, take us back to D, because the light that we get is less than 10 hours, and according to the band we are supposed to be in D. And then two, whenever they want to come and read prepare the transformer, they have to be transparent. They must be transparency, and they must involve the community leaders. That is it.
Ma, we want to thank you for coming to this. The community invited you, and we are very shocked to see you here today, ma. With total honor, we know you are so busy from the All LCC Consumer Protection Forum. We are very privileged, we are very honored. I'm very, very sure, man, that you had all what the people have said, from houses, from the old to the young, both male, female, everybody pour out their angers, their displeasure, especially as regard the misdemeanors of Ikeja Electric distribution company and the unethical behavior of one of their staff, Tokumbo, under Abule Taylor, which is run by one Mr. Hakim Bajulaye. With all what you've heard, ma, with total honor, what do you think is the problem, ma, and what do you think is the commensurate measures, ma?
Thank you so much, sir. I'm glad to be here. And I want to say thank you to the community. We feel that it is high time they need to get reorientation of value and to educate, to know more about the pros and cons of Ikeja Electric. You know, the problem is simple. The problem is, if you continue to have a government set of people that will continue to pay lip service and that will continue to play to the gallery to these 11 distribution companies that we have, all inclusive, including the Ikeja Electric. Because when I got into the community this morning, of course they sung how notorious they have become. The intimidation is becoming unbearable with what I've seen for the past 3 hours I've been with these community people. It is simple. If you have the likes of Babatunde Erukera as the DG of FCCPC, what do we know as FCCPC? Fair, competitive, and the Consumers Protection Commission. Of course, the fact that they should be protecting the affairs of whatever policy that will affect the consumer, they should always be firm as watchdog for the policy all these distribution companies are making. How on earth do you, because I had all sorts, do you know it's irritating? It's irritating also that I've had there. How do you explain a staffer of Ikeja Electric going into somebody's building and you say you want to do a maintenance without anybody getting informed? What maintenance? Your DT, your transformer, that should be of paramount to you. You do not feel concerned to come and do maintenance. Of course, there should be a proper routine checkup or proper routine maintenance on your transformers. I've not heard of a news where you will see that any distribution company staff will notify a community that we are coming to do a routine checkup or maintenance on the transformer. They will now bring about the news of barging into people's compound. Is that not daylight robbery? Into the prepaid meter.
The moment they leave, the prepaid meter start working abnormally.
And of course, I had all sorts, and I'm not just hearing. Of course, I was privileged to go into some houses today, 23rd, to see the damages they have done. And the reason is simple, because they feel that at the end of all the nonsensical and unethical attitude, somebody will still be behind them. Yes. It is simple again. If Disco continue to pay, I'm able to say it. We cannot continue to hide under our tongue. Yes, sir. For as long as Discos are the one responsible for the payment of some of the offices used by NEC offices, it will continue. We will continue in this same story. But I'm able to tell Nigerians this day, and I'm bringing this good news to this community of Miro, Irepodu, Oguntoyibo, Peaceland, and every other community around there, Ogutolu, that the time, Abulemo, the time has come together from Electricity Consumer Protection Forum. Our slogan says that together will make them to serve us better. Now, by the time you are rejecting their unethical, their misdemeanor, all these their bureaucracies affairs, by the time you put a stop to it that you are ready, when you are ready, we will together activate the law. Yes, sir. When you are ready, we will together tell them that law works in Nigeria. Yes, sir. When you are ready, and I can see the readiness from these community people. Yes. And I'm thankful. Of course, when I was impressed when I saw how people came out en masse to protest the unethical behavior of some ESRs or the marketers. How do you explain a marketer coming to you and be threatening your life?
One Tokumbo, there's been a problem on their neck.
I learned one Tokumbo, one Sumbo, one Bingpe, and one other name. They have become terrorists. Yes. Terrorizing people, community members of this mirror community.
They do group disconnection without refer to NEPA laws.
Sir, it is simple. I was communicating with a respected elder when I came in earlier. That is simple. That's enough of FABA reporting. Don't engage them verbally again. Go the nearest police station. Take the person who has abused the law. You have every right to arrest. This is a company that can be sued and that can also sue. And I'm telling you this day that you can arrest them. It is a criminal offense that is libel on conviction. Thank you. Here it's clearly this day that as stipulated by Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission under connection and disconnection procedures for electricity services 2007. It's simply stated in section 5 subsection B, D and F that provision of 10 good working days. We are not talking about Saturday and Sunday. Yeah. They might decide to work on Sundays. That's none of our business. I am representing the consumer from a consumer protection organization, and so I should speak on behalf of the consumer, which is that which is right. Yes, sir. You have 10 good working days from that section 5 subsection B. That's the billing date, the date which you receive your bill. Of course, we have a good 10 working days provision. That's what provision of law status, and that's what procedure says. You cannot just barge into somebody's compound on the 13th while you serve them bill on the 11th and say you want to disconnect. It's a no. Don't go into physical confrontation with them. You arrest the person. Thank you. And I'm calling on the superior authority, the CP Alabi of Lagos State, that all this should be passed to all divisional police offices. That for anyone, any staff of Ikeja Electric, because you are in Lagos State or a code disco whatsoever, that are arrested for such illicit and illegal acts, of course they are liable on conviction. It is a written law. It is not it's not a law that a community just came up with. Of course we have a regulatory body. Yes, yes. A regulatory commission is none but NEC. Yes. And they are regulating their affairs. Except NEC will now come out and tell us that We don't know what we are doing. Maybe by now, next should come out and tell us that they cannot do that which they are entrusted to do any longer. By then, maybe we will not know our stand. And we know that we don't have any regulatory body regulating the affairs or the policy makings of all distribution companies in Nigeria. Yes. Of course, I understand that there is a MITO order, multi-year tariff order, which simply states, of course, that they are giving 15 years elongation, a period of 15 years that they can be having a minor review of the tariff yearly. In as much as they will be doing that, communities or consumers will still be carried along. And the MITO order states that probably like that which Ikeja Electric released between the period of January to December 2022, your billings might not known to a lot of Nigerians. From January to February is not what you'll be paying from February to 2022, because MITO gives rooms for that. It might not be something that consumers will feel that much, because that's what the provision of the law states. We have to be true to ourselves. But in this case, where you can just wake up, MITO give rooms for that because of inflation reasons, for interest or exchange rates reasons. That's why they allow that you can factor all those costs when need arises. Not that you can just wake up someday and decide to place a customer who was on band D. A customer on band D under Ikeja Electric tariff says that you'll be paying 27 naira 22 kobo. And you just wake up one day to take them to 58 naira 70 kobo on band B. Where is that done? Are we not in this? I don't know.
That's informing us.
That's a criminal act.
Where is that done? It is simple. The same way they have not taken it into cognizance to write to the community that you are respected, you should be carried along in this policy. In this policy you want to make, the same way this community should all in its entirety, in all totality, reject
Yes, sir.
that. And I want to believe I'm speaking the minds of the community of Mirabel.
Yes.
And so, because I've listened to all elders speaking, both the youth, women and men, you can see how uncomfortable.
Some of them are crying. Some their houses have been rejected. They don't have tenants because of some of them that have children. Their children that are going through measles. The heat is so much. Some have run away from their houses. Some keep bathing and bathing per second per hour, according to what they said, ma.
I was interrogating an old woman. It's a sorry case. The old woman told me that the electric wire she bought with her sweat, the woman took me to where she was selling pepper. Come and see what this woman is getting her proceeds from. An old woman still engaged in that. She bought her electric wire, and that which she bought with her sweat was carted away by Ikeja Electric staffers.
By Tokumbo and his boys. How do you explain that? How do you explain that?
By the time you go back to collect the wire, they don't give you that particular wire. They give you different wire. Broken wire. They give you broken wire. I have experience on it. They will give you broken wire. They will not give you your own wire.
What they have to cut off my wire and take it away?
Sir.
And by the time you're going to claim it back, to claim a wire back, is a different wire too.
Do you know that you allowed that to happen? And I'm saying it to you now, community of Irepodo, Ogun, Tolu, Peaceland, and Miro in its entirety. That from henceforth, you reject, not in violence way.
Yeah.
No one have any right whatsoever to cut away your wire.
Yes.
I'm saying it.
Maybe you can record them on video.
No one have any right to go away with your wire. Either it's bought with the Ikeja Electric money, or the wire was supplied by the community. No one have any right whatsoever to take your wire away. And the law further states that for any distribution company, it states clearly, I like that part. For any distribution company who goes against this law has committed a criminal offense. Sir, can we all define a criminal offense? Of course, now I want to call on the top echelons of our police division offices that this is a case that you should pay more attention to, not civil cases of a landlord and a tenant that refuses to pay us rent, or not A that borrows from B who refuses to pay in time. These are criminal cases that you should pay attention to. Oh, yes. An error, as we are putting an end to an error whereby police officers will be used to intimidate consumers. Do you know it's simple? Let me just give it a small illustration. In the same vein, it's as if you are bringing a multi-choice company from GoTV or StarTimes or DSTV, like a DSTV is coming to arrest me. That's what it simply means.
Exactly.
For crying out loud, it's a private organization. Even the regulatory commission body that are meant to regulate you.
Even ask question why you don't supply. Why
you are not for once listen to any rule given. Can you please also tell Nigerians that there's nothing called estimatability. As of February, when 330 kVA was inaugurated, power substation was inaugurated at Lafia local government in Nasarawa in February of recent. The Minister of Power, Abubakar Aliyu, he mentioned that no prepaid meter, no estimatability, that no customer should pay. Of course, he said it on the national news. He accompanied His Excellency, the President of this country, General Muhammad Buhari, and before every Nigerians at Lafia local government that day, it was announced to Nigerians that 1 million Nigerians had benefited from the scheme 1 from the Federal Mass Metering Initiative project that was done last year, and he promised that in no time, by March, that 4 million Nigerians will also benefit from the next phase. We understand the fact that it is the bureaucracy of how the meter was distributed, and that is why Nigerians are still suffering. Yoruba will say, Ori lo se, idi lo nkonko. Some people are there, they had collected money from consumers under MAP, under meter asset provider. And they had used meter supplied under federal government's mass metering initiative to fill in that gap, and consumers are now at the receiving end. Do you know you can reject this?
Pay for close to 2 years and no meter being supplied.
And our minister, our respected Minister of Power, was saying openly that there's nothing like estimatability. Of course, somebody like me need not be told, because at all Electricity Consumer Protection Forum, we are abreast of all situations and happenings in all the value chain of the transmission company of Nigeria. So we understand that as of February 2020, during the lockdown, the estimated billing has been repealed. Order 197 and Order 198 2020 in Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission stipulated that fact, that estimated billing has totally been repealed. As a law student, everyone understands that when something is repealed, it means it has been totally taken off. And so how can somebody now come to you and tell you that you are being charged on estimated billing? You should also put to that person, you don't even know what you're saying. You are not a good representative of your company. You cannot, yes. Because how can the Minister of Power say there's nothing like estimated billing? How can all the 11 distributor companies sit in agreement? They all signed CAPI methodology. We'll be releasing this to our interviewer to show to Nigerians all the signatures of the electric distribution companies when they sign an agreement that CAPI methodology should come into being to build, to calculate and justify the consumption of consumers that are not on prepaid meter yet. Yes. Because the minister then made us to understand that every customer should be at liberty to calculate your consumption. In the same vein, it means that no one who does not live with you should be able to calculate your consumption more than you. Are we on the same page?
Yes. More than the same page, ma. Totally, ma.
So
knowledge, ma.
So if, of course, because the Minister of Power knows, we knows. So if I know that with 5,000 naira, I should be able to get 110 units, and you are then coming to me that no, it should be 50. Of course, I know my consumption. I know the band which I am. I am saying it, and I want to reiterate this again to the leadership of the CDAs and CDCs of this community, that if they fail in their duty, Ikeja Electric to write to you under Tokumbo, under Abule Taylor, under Kasim Bajulaye, if they fail to know that which is right to do, If they know the needful and they decide to just nonchalantly not do it or not go the right way, you let them know that you are a good citizen of Nigeria, that you know. I want to also tell you that teach them their job. Do you know that ways we can teach them their job? Write them. Let them know that they cannot wake up to impose that which is not yours on you. I say, write to them that they cannot wake up one day to impose that which is not. It is not easy for Nigerians that I have seen here today. And they explain somebody who is earning 10,000 naira.
We're paying for the 8,000, 50,000
naira for NEPA bill in a month for a bill that is not even justifiable.
The lights are not coming. As we are talking now, there's no light in this area. According for the past 4 hours, there's no light.
Of course, I've been here for more than 4 hours today, interacting with the community members, our 4 communities here, and I can see that clearly. So for a community that you move from band D, that are getting between 8 to 10, 12 hours supply, for band B, for crying out loud, they should be able to get about 16 hours supply minimum. It should be beyond, and they are getting less than 8 hours supply, and you are saying they should pay. It is a sound of warning. Let the Tokumbo and the Bimpe and the Shuaib get this clearly, and the Kasim, that they cannot just come as will, and the Noima Somabolale, they cannot just come at will into this community and intimidate consumers with police. It is a no. The community say I have agreed not to go in a violent way with you, but they, as much as they will not be violent with you, they are rejecting this in its totality. Go back to all this money that you are using to buy saloon cars, that you are doing to do whatever things you choose to do. Nigerians do not even have that money. I am calling on the authority of the DG, respected Babatunde Erukera of FCCPC, Federal Competitive and Consumer Protection Commission. I am calling on the authority of MD CEO Ikeja Electric, Folake Shueto. I want you to look into this misdemeanor of your staffers at Abule Taylor. I want you to spell it out to them, what it means to move consumers from a particular band to another band. You are about upgrading them. You are not upgrading the services. Mito even states that it should be service, it should be reflective. As much as that Mito that gave provision that he can have increments, of course, a major tariff increment should be done in 5 years. A review. As much as Mito gave room that order you can do review in a yearly basis. Of course, consumers need to be carried along. This is not even a tariff. This is not even a review. This is a daylight robbery by the staffers of Abule Taylor, and you will then intimidate a consumer to the extent of saying, "Do your worst." The authority of Ikeja Electric. The authority of Ikeja Electric. The corporate communication head, Mr. Felix Ofolue. I think you understand what communication means. I think there is a breach in communication. Your staffers need orientation of value. They need to understand what communication means in this procedure. They need to understand that there are procedures, laid down procedures that should be followed before they can do or impose anything on consumers. And I'm calling on the authority of Ikeja Electric once again that before 7 days they should do the needful.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Before 7 working days, they should do the needful. Enough of intimidation. Enough of coming to humiliate consumers here.
Stop giving us estimated bill.
A young man was narrating to me here that he went to the office to complain about this issue. Do you know he was arrested? He was at the office.
Arrested?
Yes.
Jesus.
I told the young man to please get us the video clip. He said he still have it. He used his wristwatch to do the recording, unknown to them. But when he got back home, his parents said he should not further it, that these people, they are dangerous, they can do and undo. As dangerous as we could be, as dangerous as we could be known, you are not dangerous. The hand of the law will get hold of you.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm telling you.
They are not bigger than the law.
Yeah, once you violate the law in Nigeria, I am telling you that law works in this country. And nobody whosoever is above the law in this country. It is left for Nigerians to activate the laws. I am telling you that we've had instances where some of these staffers with their unethical behavior that goes around harassing, humiliating people are arrested because people choose not to go the violent way. And so when they consult our office, we tell them what to do. How do you explain collecting a turkey or a kilo of turkey? Yeah. Is that a kilo right again?
No, kilo of turkey is different. That's meat.
I ask them. It's not electricity now.
No, ma.
And so the day the consumers stops giving them, they begin to intimidate. And I'm
to cook food at home. That's fraudulent.
Sending this note of warning to Nigerians, especially this community. By the time some people are lifting it up, stop dragging it down. Stop giving them what is known as bribe. No one can intimidate you. Can we also please tell us that? What does Ikeja Electric means by telling you you have an accumulated outstanding? What brings about this accumulation? Because by the time you give to somebody who is living in a room apartment 40,000 naira, which is not commensurate with the supply the person is getting, of course it begins to accumulate. Such person will now have an accumulated lump sum. It will not be difficult to pay. You then come back to the same person that you are owing us. Harassment comes in, intimidation follows, it turns to humiliation. It then turns to the case of go and bring the wire. Who tells you as a staff you have the right to even climb and remove the wire? It's a devastating news when I got here this morning and I saw that 80% of community here got their electrical wires with their money. I have seen a community here that they bought the transformer with their hard-earned money. Do you know that we even learned today that they paid for installation to Ikeja Electric staffers? That they paid 1.5 million naira for approval.
Yes, 1.5 million naira.
This I need somebody to just wake me up from, because I'm here to recover from that shocking news. Sincerely speaking, sir, I'm here to recover. It's a shocking news.
It's also shocking to me too.
It's a breakthrough news, sir. In a present Nigerian day, that with this economic hardship that the Ikeja Electric is meant to approach the community leaders or leadership, that please let us sign an MOU. Maybe if consumers do not know today, if you are using your money or your funds to buy which that they are meant to provide, you will sit down together on a round table to sign that which is known as MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, that monthly this transformer worth is 3.8 million naira or 6.5 million naira. This is how it will be distributed, it will be given back to you. For those of you on prepaid meter, through your vending, you'll be recouping that fund which you have contributed. For houses on postpaid, you'll be getting your funds back. Of course, I'll be an understanding and an agreement signed. You rip them off. They buy posts, all this money that has been factored into the line materials, all this money that has been factored into the tariff that you build them, and you still come back to intimidate them.
And claim those things as still belong to them as their property.
Ikeja Electric, know this again. Why Ikeja Electric? Because some people may ask me. Because we are in a community that Ikeja Electric solely covers. And so because some of the staffers of Ikeja Electric knows that which is right, but they fail to do it, henceforth, we want to tell you that we'll begin to test the hand of the law from all staffers of Ikeja Electric that comes up with any unethical attitude or misdemeanors. Of course, we will meet at court. We will test the hand of the law. We will let you know what the law states. Yes. We will let you know what the law stipulates. Yes. We will let you know that there are procedures that covers policy making. Yes. We will let you know that Electricity Power Sector Reform Act is working.
Yes,
we will let you know that our procedure and handling services for consumers. Enough of intimidating consumers. Enough of humiliating consumers. How do you come around to humiliate all these old women? In their 60s, in their 70s, suffering to put funds together to pay that which is not justifiable that will come up in. And you now come back to give them another breaking news. Isn't it a breaking news to move suddenly from band D to band B without anything commiserating?
Nothing, ma. Except the finances.
And you come back to tell them, if you do not pay this, your wire will be brought down. It is simple. Let us go by the way of the law. The CEO of Ikeja Electric, call your staffs to order. The service manager and the marketing manager in charge of Abulitelo, call your ESRs, your marketers to order. All the 6 business units in Ikeja Electric, call your staffs to order. Consumers are saying enough of this intimidation.
Enough is enough.
Enough of estimated billing. There is nothing like estimated billing. Let me get it straight to you again. The estimated billing has been repealed and it has been taken off completely. It has been taken care of by capping methodology because you fail to educate Nigerians that which capping methodology means. And I do not blame you. It is because at times our NEC officials, consumer affairs commissioners, they just pay lip services to policies that affect negatively consumers. Of course, I will not blame Ikeja Electric. I will not blame Ikeja. I will not blame to an extent because you are the husband, they are the wife. But yes, now why won't NEC be toothless bulldog? When you have a bulldog that can only bark and that cannot bite, how do you say you have a security at home when you have treasures in your house? We can liken NEC to that. You say you have a powerful bulldog with no teeth. Won't passers-by come and be toying with your treasure?
Yes.
They will come freely and toy with your treasure because they know that that's your bulldog that is of importance to you that you are using to do shakara. They know your bulldog is useless.
Toothless and useless.
Toothless. As just big. All Nigerians are saying that NEC, stop being a big and powerful bulldog without teeth.
Take action.
You should be able to enforce laws. It is not enough to make policy. It is not enough to guide policy. What is good is to enforce.
Implement it.
Implementation. If implementation and enforcement, we do not have implementation on laws and policies and procedures, it is as good as you not making such policy or laws. That is the truth, and it is simple truth. It is as good as you not making the policies. I want to call on the authority of NEC, respected James A. Momo. Please help us look into this. Let all distribution companies at the ear of your name, let them begin to tremble that you can act for at least once you act. At least let them know that you can act. Let them know that you can sanction. Let them know that you're not just decorated. Let them know that you're not just decorated to represent consumers at the end of affairs. Not all consumers or all Nigerians will go to Abuja. Not all consumers or all Nigerians will be at the end of affairs. Of course, because we have some people that we have entrusted the protection of Nigerians into their hands. And that is why we have the likes of Babatunde Erukera. I want to give it to him because in all honesty, the Director General FCCPC is trying in his own capacity. Honestly, if the leadership of NEC were to be that leadership of FCCPC, Nigerians will be lamenting this way. And that's the truth. If you have the likes of Babatunde Erukera at the end of affair in NEC, no disco will there just flout the order of NEC and they will go away, feel they can go away with it. Enough of doing this. Enough of putting to Nigerians that nobody can do anything. Enough of saying there's nothing you can do, because when you come into somebody's house where your husband and wife lives, and you come to meet with the wife in the presence of the husband, of course you are telling the husband that what can you do? Yes. That's what it simply means. I know there are two ways to it. The same way these distribution companies are slapping people and they are pointing fingers to us that what can we do? No commiserate measure to the surprise you are giving to consumers. From today, all Nigerians, let it be known to you that there should be value for your money. Let it be known to all Nigerians using electricity supply that no staffers of any distribution company have rights to disconnect you between the period of the 10 working days after your start. And like I said, connection and disconnection procedure for electricity services 2007 also states that provided that the date of billing and the disconnection is not less than 3 months. That's what the D part says. 3 months good night working days. Why are we having fire brigade approach when I'll be bid on the 10th and on the 11th? You just start hearing as if terrorists are around in your company to disconnect. Can I also ask you, Ikeja Electric, that if you are doing the right thing, why will you then come with a police officer? Ask yourself this question. It is simple. Nigerians are not violent. Lagosians are not violent. If you are doing the right thing, if you are going about your duty lawfully, orderly, doing that which is right and justifiable, you of course will not be afraid to come with police officers. Yes. Because you know you want to go and rob. The way you rob is with police officers. A robber will come with guns. God forbid that we will not be victim of such. Amen. So now we are having victim indirectly. Now we are not being victimized. We are being victimized by our distribution companies. Their own source of gun and machetes is police officers. Police officers, you are also being haunted. You are also being victimized. Maybe unknown to you, some of your, when you are at work, your wives will be on the streets buying blocks. That's which they used to buy 100 naira per nylon, 400 naira now, with a lot of begging. And the same people will come and bring you behind them. You go with them to victimize, to intimidate, to harass consumers like you. Let it be known to them from henceforth that is a criminal offense. And that is why I'm calling on the authority of the Lagos State Commissioner of Police once again, CP Alabi, that once cases of illegality, such as illegal disconnection, is brought to any of the divisional police offices, let it be treated as a criminal offense, because that's what the law stipulated. That's what the law stipulated, and not two ways to it. By the time we begin to activate all these laws, everyone in Nigeria will know that laws made in Nigeria are not made for animals. Law works in Nigeria when we are ready to activate. I'm grateful to the leadership of this community once again, because they are law-abiding citizens. If it were to be other citizens, while we were here this morning, of course I saw Ikeja Electric distribution company staffers. They came around with ladders. With bike, on bike. They will have bombarded them. They will have they will have do all sorts, all form of attack. But I can see the way they were comported, not because we are around. Of course, a lot of them did not even know where I was coming from. So I am giving it to them. I'm giving my kudos to them, and I'm saying I'm thankful to the leadership of the communities that comes together to reject the obnoxious bill, the illegality being meted, and the unethical behavior of Ikeja Electric staffers being meted on the consumers. Let it be known to you, because this is not in your dictionary. Write it down today and begin to practice it, that customers are golden. Yes, sir. Without these consumers, there's no, your office is as useless as useless as gutter. Gutter is nobody turns gutter to anything. Of course, we can still use there's some refuse that we can still turn to materials. No one wants to have anything to do with gutter. Yes, sir. Without consumers, Your office is as useless as gutter.
The desert without consumers.
So let consumers have their rights. FCCPC released on Tuesday again. It's the national news. That the time is now. The rights of consumers must be respected. The rights of consumers must be respected by all distribution companies.
Yes,
I repeat it again. The rights of consumers must be respected.
yes, so.
Stop going the way of intimidating consumers. Without them, that know you. If our consumers come together as one today and says come and take off our electric wire,
Like you just did.
or come and take off our supply. If our consumers come together today and say we do not desire your supply, electricity supply any longer, we want to start using inverter or solar, there won't be anything called distribution companies again in Nigeria.
Yes, so.
The same way you've been telling us that you are debt to Gencos. Of course, somebody like us knows. Because of your refusal to pay Gencos, the generating companies. By the time I say I should really dig deep into your misdemeanors, all Nigerians' eyes will be open. Stop calling black white for us. We know how you are recouping these funds and how you are refusing to pay Gencos. You are only meant to sell to us. The more you buy from generating company, because generating companies know that once they generate, if they cannot sell, it is a waste. And so they sell to you most times on credit. Some of you will come out and tell us that CBN is an intermediary between you. That is CBN that is getting your money, that CBN even pay Gencos before paying your staff, before you allow you to see money to pay your staff. It's a lie. We know. We know. The more you rub off, the more you rip off consumers, you are still refusing to pay Gencos where you generate from. Enough of all this.
Enough.
Let consumers get commiserate of what they pay with their supply. And you cannot just wake up any day to move a consumers from a particular band to another band. The tariff is way too high.
And they will tell us pay what you can.
How do you explain somebody who pay 20,000 naira out of 25,000 naira? And I learned the one of the marketers, Tokumbo, says, yeah, there is a popular saying that somebody told me that I used to say, I've heard that from about 3 people here today, that in Kotoba Mashele, Lo Mashele, that 20,000 naira, if you like pay it, I'm still going to disconnect you. Do you know that Yoruba will say, Oloju kan lo man joba. That is why he can tell you that if you like pay 20,000 naira, if you like pay 20,000 naira out of 25,000 naira, I will still disconnect you. How do you come about that 20,000? Let me give you a simple illustration. Something happened at Okoba about 2-3 weeks ago. Do you know that this particular set of consumers, they have been billing wrongly? I mentioned something earlier called capping methodology. Capping methodology simply states that all distribution companies submitted that which they'll be using for residential A, residential B.
Yeah.
Sir, for those of us on this environment that are consumers, for people here that are business owners and commercial, probably they are 300 kilowatts per month. That will be calculated with a tariff.
Yes, ma'am.
Some people 150 kilowatts. Suddenly,
Skyrocketed.
just skyrocket everything. And as usual, those who are meant to help us regulate them, they just play to gallery.
That's neck. Cool.
Yes. And so, when these people call our attention, we accompany them to the office of the service manager, a woman, Tokoba. We had discussions to ask questions. At a point, she was shouting, "You're intimidating us, madam. This is not intimidation. The question, these are simple questions that you ought to know from your office as a senior service manager here. These are questions that you need to know. It means if you do not even have answers to such questions, you yourself as a service manager does not even know your procedures. Then, if a manager does not even know the procedures, the marketers, they will just be going now to bamboozle consumers. At the of it all, we found that they were billed 47,000 naira. That we were supposed to be billed 28,500. We then advise the community members on what to do, how to write, the appropriate quarters to write to. All that should even be taken up by the manager, not even consumer protection organization. Let this be known to you. Consumers are golden. The right of consumers must be respected in all its totality. Stop treating consumers as if you are doing us a favor. You are not doing anyone any favor. You are not. You are not in any way doing consumers any favor. The way they act unruly is as if you are doing you a favor. Enough of that. You all have your target. A marketer will come out and tell you, I have a target to meet this one too. It then means that however he wants to get that money, is careless. All he's out therefore is to meet his target.
Without ethical conduct.
Without ethical conduct that are laid down.
Fraudulent.
Of course, there are no two ways to it. It's just simple fraudulent. I just don't want to mention that earlier. It is fraudulent. No two ways to it. So for everyone concerned on this table, from the MD CEO of Ikeja Electric, because it concerns Ikeja Electric, call the leadership of Abule Taylor to order. These communities must be attended to speedily.
Metering.
And this community must be metered.
Yes.
Those that are metered, the recharge from moving them from one tariff class, from one bank class to the other, should be looking to speedily. Enough of writing endlessly without getting results. Of course, we have a whole lot of learned people in this community. Yes. And they show us proof that they've written ceaselessly, endlessly, that they are even tired of writing. And the same body language they keep getting is that I want to say this, that we are not tired.
Yes.
We are not tired.
Yes.
Until we together, we will make you to do the needful. Together, we will make you to serve us better. Together, you'll be ready to serve the community better. Together, we'll activate that law which was laid as procedure for your that is regulating you. And so you need to respect the rights of consumers. It is not going to be a news. It's not going to be a regular thing any longer. It's not going to be a regular thing any longer, because I want to trust the authority and the leadership of FCCPC that by the time this gets to them, I know and I'm double sure about that they will do that which is right. And so once again, the leadership of Abule Taylor, please, it is no longer a news that this community, Ogutolu, Pasteland, Irepodun, Mirror, Coast Street, Rabiatu, Holy Peace, Abulemo, it is not a news. And Messiah, Akishila, Lerato, they are not just hearing about them for the first time. They have written endlessly to you. It is time now for you to swing into action and look into their petition.
Up to Americana.
Even up to Americana.
Yeah. Yes.
Americana area. It is time. Or else your staffs will be rejected. They don't want to go into violence with your staffs. I saw your staffs that came around. No one goes close to them. No one moves closer to them. They allow them to do that which they have come to do. So please stop this attitude. I've come to open people's prepaid meter, and you then say you are doing maintenance of meter that was not reported as a meter got spoiled. What do we call that maintenance? Maintenance that you cannot write, that you want to come and check. Don't you write?
No writing of letter, just barging into people's house.
People will just come home and meet their meters
They
open.
come for installation now and then. They come on Sundays, they come on holidays.
Please, now is the time for you to do the needful. Once again, we are calling on the authorities of Ikeja Electric. So please see into the petitions of these communities that has been mentioned, and to address their issues accordingly, and give that which belongs to them. Do the needful, because they have agreed in oneness that none of Ikeja Electric staff will be able to do anything in these communities henceforth if you fail to look into their petition. Thank you once again, Asabe TV Africa. God bless you for the good job you are doing. God bless you for making the authorities to hear the cry of Nigerians.
Thank you, ma'am.
Of course, because you have been speaking the voice of the voiceless ever since I have known you. Continue to do that good which you have been doing. Our Creator, the only one who can reward you, will reward you accordingly. Amen. And you will not be tired. Amen. In this course, by the grace of God, the enablement for us to get there, the Lord will grant unto every one of us. Amen. We will get there. Amen. The only command God gave to this world is let there be light. Let it be simple for you to obey. Let there be light. Thank you and God bless.
God bless you. Thank you so much. That's a powerful one from Mrs. Jones, Kenny Jones of the All Electricity Consumer Protection Forum, and you've seen it. We've spoken to a lot of people. The pain is very huge. The anger is profound. I think something has to be done. Everywhere we are watching this, let's push our lawmaker, the slumbering jacks in National Assembly, even at the presidency, people that appears not to even know what is going on with the citizen, no connection, nothing in terms of light, in terms of orientation, in terms of education, in terms of health. Light is very important, and with this, please share this all over the world. Let truth be done. Let the Ikeja Electric know that it's a fraudulent organization. Till then, we meet again. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, guys. I am really happy. Like, really happy. No pain, no gain. Guys, today is the 1st of November and it's my birthday month. And I'm happy I've come to the end of the 2 challenges I set up at the beginning of October. I planned that I would do 10 burpees every day, and I built up to my 5 minutes plank. And I'm so happy that I hit my target. And I did 5 minutes, 20 seconds, baby! Ah! Oh.
So 5 minutes, over 5 minutes, 5 minutes 20 seconds. I didn't know when you actually stopped because you collapsed. But it's over 5 minutes 20 seconds. We'll check exactly how. How do you feel?
First of all, I'm super proud that I did it and I conquered and I went over. But you know what this tells me? I set 5 minutes in my mind. So I was working with your 5 minutes time. I was waiting for push myself to get to that 5 minutes. When you said 1 minute to go, I said no way, I'm not going to stop. Then I've done 4 minutes before. When I got to 30 seconds, I kept on pushing. I was holding. I wanted to fall. Then you said 10 seconds. I started counting in my head. 10. And then when I went over 10, I said, guy, how far? You said you're about to get there. So I kept on holding on. I'd have given up obviously if you told me it was 5 minutes. So it's in the mind. Because I said 5 minutes, that's what my mind was working towards. But I did over
20 seconds more.
Yeah.
Madam, if I use this stick on you, you won't like yourself. You like yourself. You're not respecting yourself. Madam, you will use the stick on you.
Don't you woman, but you have right to be. I find this room. ẹ lọ gbé glass ẹ ní wò tọ́ ẹ lọ gbé glass àbí ẹ̀wọ̀n kan tẹ̀ ń ṣe. mo ní kọ́ mu kí wá ẹ̀wọ̀n kan ló ṣe ẹ̀wọ̀n kan ló ṣe ẹ̀wọ̀n kan tó bí yẹn ṣe. mo ní fún mi ní kí yìí mo ní fún mi. ẹ fún wọn ẹ kàn tí wọn kọ́ stop gbogbo kan tó ń ṣe yìí.
Baba, leave them. Dabo, come back. Come back. No, Dabo, go. No. Just go. Disappear from here.
The Electric Power Sector Reform Act 2005 defines an electricity consumer as any end user of electricity who is a customer of a distribution licensee. The concept of eligible customer would appear to have been recharacterized into two or more categories. An eligible customer means a customer that is eligible pursuant to a directive or directives issued by the Minister under Section 27 to purchase power from a licensee other than a distribution licensee. The word customer and consumer are used interchangeably, though accorded different meanings under the Act and regulations. For instance, the National Electric Regulation Commission on Customers' Complaints Handling, Standards and Procedure 2006, defines a customer as any person or organization supplied with electricity for his own use by a distribution licensee or by any other person engaged in the business of supplying electricity to the public under the Electric Power Sector Reform Act or any other law for the time being in force, and includes any person whose premises are for the time being connected for the purpose of receiving electricity from a distribution licensee or such other person as the case may be. The law seeks to protect electricity consumers from defects in electricity services by licensees and other electricity companies, though the Act does not define what constitutes a defect in the electricity power sector. However, the definition has been filled by the National Electric Regulation Commission on Customer Complaints Handling, Standard and Procedure 2006. It defines defects for the purpose of consumer protection as a fault, imperfection, or shortcoming in the quality, standard of service, equipment, or material which is required to be used by or under any law or regulation for the time being in force or under any contract or as claimed by the customer in relation to electricity service. The regime of Electric Power Sector Reform (EPSR) Act came to abrogate the NEPA Act due to its obviously brutish, defective and unproductive effect in the electricity sector. The Act came to break NEPA's decades of monopoly to ensure quality service delivery. It is pertinent that electricity customers know their rights as well as the protection offered to them by relevant laws of the land. Many Nigerians do not know that they have certain rights as electricity consumers in the nation. This is why many have fallen victim to sharp practices and other anti-people vices from electricity distribution companies. These rights include the following: right to a meter free of charge. All new electricity connections must be done strictly based on metering before connection. That is, no new customer should be connected by any electricity distribution company without a meter first being installed at the premises. Right to electricity supply in a safe and reliable manner. All customers have a right to electricity supply in a safe and reliable manner. Historically, the entire electricity supply chain in Nigeria was under the umbrella of a vertically integrated national utility company called National Electric Power Authority, NEPA, which was a monopoly. The Power Sector Reform Program, guided by the Electric Power Sector Reform (EPSR) Act of year 2005, outlined the process for the separation of potentially competitive functions from the monopoly entity and establishing competitive industry structure for commercial operations of those competitive functions. The Act pushes the concept of separating the contestable functions of generation and retail from the natural monopoly functions of transmission and distribution, and ultimately establishing competitive wholesale and retail electricity markets. The Commission is charged with the responsibility of seeing to the establishment, promotion and monitoring of a competitive Nigerian electricity market where the private sector will be the key driver, with no single or multiple groups of players exercising undue market power. Right to be properly informed and educated on the electricity services. Consumers do not often understand why prices increase due to the limited transparency in the electricity sector. Consumers are entitled to receive transparent information on applicable prices and tariffs, as well as on standard terms and conditions with regards to the access to and use of electricity services. This could be done through an offer or tariff information label that would contain all key information about an offer, including prices, discounts, termination fees, and more. This information must be provided to consumers at the point of sale and should be used as a standardized template. So also, with respect to information on electricity services, Section 76(6) of the Electric Power Sector Reform (ESPRA) Act mandates the National Electric Power Regulation Commission (NERC) to notify the public of any change in tariff methodology. Section 76(6) states that prior to approving a tariff methodology, the Commission shall give notice in the official gazette and in one or more newspapers with wide circulation of the proposed establishment of a tariff methodology, indicating the period within which objections or representations in connection with the same may be made to the Commission. Right to reasonable electricity tariff that represent fair use. All unmetered customers should be issued with electricity bills strictly based on National Electric Regulatory Commission's estimated billing methodology. One of the primary functions of the Commission, as contained in Section 32D of the Electric Power Sector Reform (EPSR) Act 2005, is to ensure that the prices charged by licensees are fair to customers and sufficient to allow the licensees to finance their activities and obtain reasonable profit for efficient operations. Right to notice before disconnection. It is the customer's right to be notified in writing ahead of disconnection of electricity services by the electricity distribution company, serving the customer in line with National Electric Regulation Commission guidelines. It is, however, unfortunate that some of these provisions are obeyed in breach than in compliance, because the power distribution companies cut and disconnect customers with reckless abandon without recourse to these provisions. The Electric Power Sector Reform (EPSR) Act 2005 envisages the development of an efficient electricity market where resources are allocated efficiently and managed in such a way that wastages and leakages in the value chain are reduced to the barest minimum, with consumers getting the best value for their money, which includes effective service delivery and strict compliance with statutory provisions on consumer satisfaction. Right to a refund when overbilled. In the event of overbilling of a customer, the electricity distribution company is under an obligation to refund such excess sum paid by the customer. Where it is proven that the customer has been overbilled, will not literally refund the physical cash to the consumer, but to transfer the excess amount into customer's account as a credit or subsequent electricity bill and payment. Right to an unmetered consumer while contesting estimated billing. An unmetered consumer who is disputing his or her estimated bill has the right not to pay the disputed bill, but pay only the last undisputed bill, as the contested bill go through the dispute resolution process of National Electric Regulatory Commission (NERC). To better give effect to the Electric Power Sector Reform (EPSR) Act 2005, the Commission is empowered by Section 96 of the Act to make regulations prescribing all matters which are required or necessary for operational convenience. Right to and maintenance of power distribution equipment. It is not the responsibility of electricity customer or community to buy, replace, or repair electricity transformers, poles, and related equipment used in the supply of electricity. The responsibility of repair and purchase of electrical equipment lies with the distribution companies in charge of the supply area and not with the residents or the community. All electric equipment integrated into the grid are automatically the property of the distribution company. The customer or community is not a partner with the distribution company in its business and cannot therefore be compelled to pay for such equipment. Should a consumer or community decide to handle this responsibility, it must be done with the full knowledge of the law regarding consumers' investment in electricity. Right to protection from arbitrary and segregated billing. Every electricity consumer is protected from any system of billing outside the regulated scheme provided by law. Every consumer belongs to a billing classification and no one should be specially charged. A consumer's cost of electricity depends on 4 classifications. 1 is the location of the customer, and 2, the tariff class of the customer. Every electricity customer must belong to a specific tariff class. There are 5 major tariff classes, each of which is divided into subclasses based on a range of energy consumption. The 5 major tariff classes are as follows. Residential. A customer who uses his premises exclusively as a residence, e.g. house, flat, or multi-storage house. Commercial. A customer who uses his premises for any purpose other than exclusively as a residence or a factory for manufacturing goods. Industrial. A customer who uses his premises for manufacturing goods, including welding and ironmongery. Special. Customers such as agriculture and agro-allied industries, water boards, religious houses, government and teaching hospitals, government research institutes, and educational establishments. Each tariff class has a unique tariff rate applicable to it. This means that each distribution company has a unique tariff rate for its customers in each tariff class. Easy to understand bill. All electricity bills should be in a format easily understood by customers with the proportioned amount and the energy used, and should contain the information in the schedule to the NERC regulation. Bill after disconnection. When a customer is disconnected for non-payment, the meter reading should be taken at the time of disconnection, and the bill should show the total value of all charges owed by the customer up to the time of disconnection. Customers are only liable to pay the bills brought before the service was discontinued. Final reading of a meter upon vacation of premises. A customer can request his distribution company to undertake a final reading of his meter when he vacates his premises, and the reading shall be used to calculate his or her final electricity usage to avoid a new tenant paying for an old tenant's electricity usage. Right to a monthly bill. A distribution company under no circumstances should bill a customer any charges for a supply address after a final account has been produced without issuing more than one routine bill during the same billing period. Distribution companies should not send you more than one bill on a monthly basis. Right to negotiate part payment. When a customer anticipates difficulty in fully paying an electricity bill by the due date, the customer can contact the distribution company while they determine the customer's capacity to pay the outstanding bill. A customer can reach an agreement with a service provider to pay your outstanding within stipulated period before disconnection. Inflation of the proportioned amount payable. A distribution company cannot inflate the proportioned amount in order to increase the recoverable on the charge or charge the customer interest on the amount either on a new customer or old customer. If a customer is billed below their monthly usage, the service provider should not make the customer pay more than expected in the next billing. Prompt information inviting on overcharge. In case of overcharge, the distribution company is advised to write a customer within 5 working days on the error by crediting the amount of the overcharge to the customer's next bill. It is the duty of the distribution company to notify the customer in a situation where the amount charged is being consumed by the customer for that particular month. When in 2013, the distribution companies took over the responsibility of electricity distribution in Nigeria, many Nigerians thought that the end of the years and ages of darkness had set in. To Nigerian masses and even the elites, the days of insistent power outage and administrative carelessness had come to the end. They believed that with the electricity distribution finally in the hands of private entities, there would be a turnaround in electricity supply in the country. Unfortunately, 7 years down the line, those thoughts and imagination have not come to pass. Instead, it has gotten worse. Nigerians have now come to the realization that their suffering with respect to electricity had only taken a new dimension, from Lagos to Ibadan, Abuja to Kaduna, Kano to Maiduguri, Port Harcourt to Enugu, Benin to Asaba, Ebonyi to Cross River State, and many other parts of the country. Complaints of lack of electricity, outrageous bill, extortion, unjust load shedding, group disconnection, insensitivity, and rudeness of the distribution companies abound and remain unmitigated. At every opportunity of a face-to-face meeting with distribution companies, consumers have always used such platform and opportunity to pour out their long accumulated frustration and grievances. The customers often descended on the distribution companies, accusing it of incompetence, issuance of crazy bill, insincerity, daylight robbery, hoarding of meters, both prepaid and normal reading meters, insensitivity and rudeness. Some of these failures and disappointments of the consumers by the distribution companies are manifested in the following. Outrageous bill. Distribution companies have subjected consumers to paying outrageous electricity bills. Consumers will always argue that such bills are not a true reflection of the energy they consume. In January 2019, the Nigerian House of Representatives proposed a law criminalizing and prohibiting estimated billing and compelled electricity companies to give prepaid meters within 30 days. But the parliamentary order was ignored by the electricity companies. In section 69 of the proposed law, it stipulates that a power distribution company serving the consumer upon connection must inform the customer in writing on the nature of meter installed, tariff methodology, and all other services available to the customer. Billing without energy provision. It is no news in every part of the country that distribution companies bill consumers even when the transformer is bad or there is no light at all. Even despite the fixed and functional transformer installed in the area, while load shedding system is not totally wrong, the distribution companies must find a way to distribute the power fairly to all the people in the community. High-handedness of staff. It is unfortunate and worrisome how staff of the distribution companies transforms into demigods by their insensitivity and rude approach to customers. Consumers attribute this ugly trend to the failure of the regulators to discharge their statutory duties by penalizing the discos. This high-handedness also manifests in the extortion of customers by the distribution company's officials in the name of buying transformer, pole, or whatever facility. Unnecessary hoarding of meters. Distribution companies do this so that they will continue to give outrageous estimated bills to customers. They hoard the meters for selfish and corrupt reasons, either to give the meters out illegally to people who can afford to pay some kickbacks, or simply so they can keep billing consumers on consumption estimations. Unjustified and group disconnection. The way and manner in which distribution companies disconnect consumers is in the least unsatisfactory. As if uninformed disconnection is not enough, distribution companies sometimes go on group disconnection, whereby they disconnect an entire area, affecting the electricity of those that do not owe because of those that are indebted. An inconsistent power supply was the main challenge affecting electricity consumers in Nigeria, which necessitated a change of guard from the old National Electric Power Authority (NEPA) down to Power Holding Company of Nigeria (PHCN) and the new privatization strategy under the Discos. Despite the change, the outcry of consumers worsened in the last 7 years, especially with the Discos like Ikeja Electric and few others. Nigerians have kept crying over the unabated power services to consumers over the years, which the Consumer Protection Council has no answer to. The consumers were made to pay bills without service rendered. In addition, the inability of aggrieved consumers to sue the power authorities' default succeeded in keeping them arrogant and obstinate. It is hereby recommended that there should be further and proper deregulation of the power sector in Nigeria, as it is considered that the power that lies with the National Electricity Regulatory Commission (NERC) still leaves the whole power ball to the federal government alone. However, as provided in the Constitution, the electricity sector is in the concurrent legislative list, which means that both the federal government and state government can regulate electricity. Therefore, the Electric Sector Power Reform Act should be revised to be in harmony with the provision of the Constitution. This, if effected, will decentralize the power sector and bring about increased efficiency and create a playing field for more innovative investors, and also create more competition among the players in the industry, which will lead to better services, which is what the objective of the National Electricity Regulation Commission (NERC) and the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission (FCCPC) is all about in relation to consumer rights and protection. As it is now, the lack of consistent electricity tops the major challenges that have a significant effect on the consumer and industrial goods sector. For one thing, the electricity problem limits the output of the industrial sector, which then reduces the need for industrial and capital goods. Frequent power outages at homes and factories also damages home appliances, equipment, and machinery, thereby increasing maintenance costs for businesses. This issue also affects perishable consumer goods, as power outages make it difficult for the end consumer to store perishables over a long period of time. As laudable as these rights are, one would expect that their implementations will be swift and progressive, such that consumers and distribution company relationships under the power sector could be smooth sailing. The reverse is, however, the case. Years after the privatization of the power sector, customer service relationship remains an all-time low, still reminiscent of the pre-privatization era, where electricity consumers were subjected to the dictates of officials of the power sector. Unfortunately, these problems persist as a result of a lack of awareness by electricity consumers of the rights that cater to them under the reformed power sector. As evidenced by the popular saying, when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse becomes inevitable. It should be noted that until consumers understand this right and legal protection and become proactive in enforcing them, they will remain at the mercy of unscrupulous officials of the power sector.